power with ixm.co.uk, where cars go faster.
In this week's show, Gail Porter road tests Christmas presents for car-mad kids. James Allen takes to two wheels and gets lost on the moors.
Oh no!
And we go cruising on the Riviera in the ultimate luxury limo.
The Mercedes S-Class, arguably the finest luxury motor car in the world. Problem is, it could cost you something of the order of £60,000. But you don't need anything like that kind of money to own a top-of-the-range Benz. Here's an S-Class from the late 1980s. It's as solid as a rock, it's got a great service history, and it's got tons of life left in it. And you know, I've just bought this for the sort of money that wouldn't even pay for leather upholstery in a brand new Mercedes.
Which is why I can afford to go on a West End shopping spree.
If you've ever hankered after luxurious, almost regal motoring, this is it. I mean, it's so almost eerily quiet. It's difficult to believe that this car has done 145,000 miles and is desperately, desperately quiet. It's not the sort of car that I think was built with a driving enthusiast in mind. Certainly not that kind of car. Personally, at my age, I like this humongous steering wheel. I like the fact that I'm driving something that is half car and half barge. I like the fact that there's this horribly long, stupidly long bonnet, which means that driving in town is horribly difficult, that you have to almost stretch your neck to see the end of. I like all that. It sort of takes me back to the days when I was a kid and I used to look at my mates whose dads had expensive cars and my dad didn't. And now I've got one of those cars, except that it wasn't expensive.
Which means, in theory, I could afford to splash out on a new set of clothes. Only the best for an S-Class owner.
Well, from a legendary car manufacturer that's been around for about 100 years to a legendary gentleman's outfitters here in Savile Row. And they've been here for nearer 200. Well, I mean, if you could have a posh car, you need a posh suit to go with it, don't you? I'm still not going to tell you how much I paid for that car, but I will tell you that, like a good handmade suit, it oozes style and quality and luxury and comfort. And I promise you, it won't cost you an arm and a leg either. In fact, the car costs less than that quality attire I've just been measured up for. Suits me, sir.
Yes, a car for the price of a whistle. Sounds great, but bear in mind, Mercs are notoriously costly to run. For servicing, search out a non-franchised Mercedes garage. By that I mean Merc-trained mechanics working for themselves, like this one in Stourbridge, West Midlands. We asked John Edmonds for some buying tips.
Generally get a feel for the car, the obvious things such as paintwork, dents, scratches and so on. The S-Class really isn't a car that suffers much from corrosion at all, so not too much to worry about there. There should be a service pack and the most important service book, which should be all stamped up. This particular car's got leather interior, very hard wearing, very durable. Look out for scuffs, scratches, particularly wear marks on the corners. If it's overworn to what you think the mileage is, just double check the mileage. This particular car has got electric seats, go through all the operation, make sure they all operate. If they don't, it can be quite costly to repair or replace. The next thing to look for is under the bonnet. Generally with Mercedes-Benz engines, there isn't a lot to see. Not a lot happens, apart from it gets you from A to B. If they're over clean, there might be something to try to be covered up. Overall, if you get the right car at the right price with the right history, you'll have a car to last you a long, long time, and a nice motor to boot.
Now, I guess you still want to know how much I paid for this fine example. Well, let's discuss it over a cuppa.
You know, I don't normally frequent fine establishments like this, but with the tens of thousands, yes, tens of thousands of pounds I've saved on my S-Class Mercedes, I can suddenly afford to. I bet you're dying to know how much I paid for this car, aren't you?
All right, I'm only winding you up. Just hang on, I am going to tell you.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, Tony. Okay, I'll tell you. Just hang on, you're not going to believe this. We're talking £2,500. And that's an awful lot of metal for your money.
Do you know, I've worked really hard for this job. I've read hundreds of motoring magazines. I've even test driven everything from a Mini to a Merc. And just when I think I'm getting ahead, they tell me I can't even test drive the cars in this next item. So, what's it all about? Well, if you're worried about what to buy your motor mad kids or your partner for Christmas, then worry no more. We've come to Hagley First School in the West Midlands to bring you Pooling Power's playground guide to the hottest toys this Christmas. First, we had to recruit our testers and, surprise, surprise, we had no shortage of eager volunteers. And don't be fooled by their angelic little faces. These 8-year-olds may all look sweetness and light, but when it comes to presents, they're the most hard-nosed, fashion-conscious critics you're ever likely to meet. First out of the sack is Skelectrics. It's been around at Christmas longer than Sir Cliff Richard, but unlike Cliff, it's still at the top of the charts.
See, that's got to go there, look. Hey, that works. There you go.
It goes on its own, like a bit like magic when you press the button on.
It's a bit like magic. Muscling in on Skelectrics, pole position is Ninco. State-of-the-art track and super quick cars make this the enthusiast's choice.
Go. You're going too fast. That's it.
For younger children, what about this cute radio-controlled Beetle, suitable for 3 years and over? Available in any colour you want as long as it's yellow. Ever fancied an Audi TT? Well, break open canned heat and have hours of fun with this Christmas cracker from Tyco.
I liked the one where you pull the string behind it and
Oh yeah, and it's like the car goes like
A
that.
popular choice with all our testers is the Explorer Super Shot. It proves you don't have to spend a fortune at Christmas to have a good time.
Legs like this. Do this feelings. Yeah. Pull that. Ready? Let it go. You gotta have the face. Look, mean face. Do a mean face. You didn't do mean face very well. Where's mean face?
PlayStation 2! Yes! Oh, PlayStation! What's the really one?
Yes, it's this year's must-have toy. Top motoring games released so far include Ridge Racer 5 and Gran Turismo 3. Stunning graphics and mega processing power put Sony back on top.
My shot.
Our advice, wait for the new year when there'll be more available and prices are bound to fall. And finally, what about these wee electric off-roaders from Rebel Replicas? Just the thing for popping to your grand on Christmas morning. But with prices starting around £1,500, don't hold your breath. Well, it's been a very long, tough and exhausting afternoon. And when I say exhausting, I mean exhausting. But we can now tell you what Pooling Power's favourite Christmas toy is this year. The winner is... That was Skelectrics, in case you didn't quite get it. One problem all our testers had, however, was keeping the cars on the track. Our advice, try cars made by Fly and SCX. They've got bigger magnets and make life easier for heavy-handed kids.
Do you know, the problem with Santa is that when I was wee, it was fantastic. I'd get everything I wanted, great toys, great presents, and now that I'm getting older, I get sort of perfume and kitchen utensils. It's just not the same anymore.
This is for you.
For me?
Yes.
Can I open it now?
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Santa. This is what I call a present.
Cut! Okay, Gail, hand over the keys.
Yeah, right, this is my present.
It's just a gag, Gail. Give us
No,
the keys
it's not
back.
a gag. I've been very, very good. This is my car. Santa said, I'm going.
Blue moon, you saw me standing alone.
Now, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Contrary to what you might think, midwinter is a great time to get out on your bike. Not only will you miss the traffic, but choose an off-roader and you'll have thousands of miles of quiet green lanes to explore. And don't worry if you get cold, because there's always a friendly pub where you can get a bowl of soup and a nice warm pasty. Perhaps we won't stop here after all.
Beware of the moon. Stay on the path, boy. Don't leave the road.
You know what it's like? One wrong turning and you're lost. Hello? Excuse me, mate, can you help me out?
Yeah, of course I can.
Lucky for me, my guide turns out to be John Deacon. He's a Cornish off-road legend and Britain's premier desert raider. Through most of January, John will be racing at full speed across the sky-high dunes of North Africa. He's riding for BMW in the world's toughest race, the infamous Paris-Dakar.
It's a fantastic thing to be involved with the rally. It's a dream for many people, and I'm living that dream.
What's the best thing about it then?
Oh, the countryside, the landscape, the people, the places you go. I suppose it's like climbing Mount Everest or walking to the North Pole. You know, there's very few things that you push yourself to the limit. In this case, you're doing it on a motorcycle.
Starting in Paris on January the 1st, the rally quickly heads south, covering 5 countries in 21 days. Daytime temperatures of 30 degrees centigrade, giant sand dunes and rutted tracks, plus dangerous nomads, all add to the adventure. Now, there's never been a British winner of the Paris-Dakar. You're one of the favourites this year. What are your chances? Do you think you're going to do it?
Yes, I'm one of the favourites. I'm seeded 6. And I will be at the front, but it's a long race, 3 weeks, and after my crash last year, I'm definitely going to be playing it a bit cool to start with.
While we're still digesting our Christmas pudding, this guy's going to be burning across the desert, and I so envy him. When John's not burning up the desert, you'll often find him passing on his hard-won knowledge as BMW's chief off-road instructor.
OK, James, what I'm going to do now is work on your slow speed control. So, look ahead, don't look right in front of the front wheel. Keep them 2 fingers on the clutch. Stand up with a straight leg.
It's much more difficult than it looks, this, John, isn't it?
It is, it is. It's a fantastic thing to try and teach you throttle control, clutch control, and balance.
And vision as well, because you've got to look where you're going, haven't you?
Of course you have.
I'm ready for the deserts, John. I'm ready for the deserts.
I know. All right, James, I've got some bad news for you. Sometime during the day, we're going to fall off. First thing we do, turn it off, kill the engine.
Yeah.
All right, then we've got to pick it up. So don't try picking it up from this side, because you'll never do it. Walk around this side of the bike, turn the handlebars away from you, crouch down with a straight back, and up she comes.
You've done that a few times in the desert, haven't you?
I have indeed. All right, James, you've learned all the basics. Let's go off, put it all to the test and have some fun.
Next stop, Dakar then, eh?
No, Dartmoor.
Oh, Dartmoor, okay. I must say I had a first-class day with John. Trail riding is not only good fun, it's also great exercise. But if you've never done it before, do get some professional training before venturing off-road. Which way did he go? Did he go that way? Did he go that way? John!
Coming up, Mike Rutherford may have bought an S-Class for $2.5 grand, but what if you have $50,000 to spend? After the break, we head south to drive a car that redefines luxury motoring.
A very stylish girl.
So it's glamorous, exclusive and ideal for cruising the Croisette with, and that's just the chauffeur. Thank you, Patrice. But unlike most road tests on pulling power, I'm going to start this one in the back and not behind the wheel. Thank you. Because a large proportion of the people buying this car will be sitting here on the back seat. So have you guessed what it is yet? Well, we're talking Toyota, albeit their luxury mark, the Lexus.
Lexus claim that 25% of people buying this car will be chauffeur-driven. So backseat luxury and space is a top priority.
By the way, in case you're wondering, he really is a chauffeur. Patrice, who did you have in your car last week?
Oh, Kevin Costner.
See? It's real star stuff here, you know.
How do I look?
Well, this is all very relaxing, but what I want to know is what's it really like to drive. Patrice, I'm sorry, but it's my turn now.
Okay.
This is the LS430, son of the LS400. The previous car had a 4-litre engine. This one is a 4.3 V8. But that's just the start of the changes they've made to this car. Huge amounts of money and time have been spent on improving every detail of the way the car drives and handles. In this sector, smoothness, quietness and comfort are all.
The slightest movement of the accelerator keeps the speed constant. Now, the engine actually recognises when it's on a hill, but it's not hunting for gears all the time. It automatically changes down to assist braking. But when you do put your foot down, it's certainly not sluggish. The new suspension system automatically lowers the car at speed, therefore making it more aerodynamic and stable. Say you could have 5 people on board and all their luggage, and the new system would alter the height of the car accordingly. It's incredibly comfortable inside. Lexus have designed the car around a European body shape, and the seats, both front and back for that matter, alter in every direction you could possibly imagine. And the power-adjusted steering wheel alters with both reach and rake, as you'd expect for a car in this class. It's got every mortal safety feature, state-of-the-art satellite navigation system, of course, and an incredibly sophisticated climate system. You'll notice these little knobs moving up and down. Not only are they adjusting the air, but also they realise there's no passenger sitting in this seat, and therefore all the air is directed towards me. Incredible, isn't it? Not only that, they have an option of a special button down here, which actually alters the temperature of the seat. So in other words, you could have your bottom any temperature you desire. It's just a different world, isn't it? And before I forget, of course it does have cup holders. There's no question, this car really looks the part in the south of France, surrounded by million-pound yachts. The most distinctive part of the car, and the bit that works best, is the front end. I do like these asymmetrical headlights, they're really nice. They might look a bit familiar too, because they're remarkably similar to the asymmetrical headlights on the front end of the Mercedes S-Class. Well, that's not really very surprising, because that is precisely the market that this car is aimed at. In terms of its shape, Lexus has spent 2 years developing the aerodynamics of the car to make it the most efficient in its class. In comparison with its predecessor, the LS400, the overhang is both shorter at the front and the back. And yet it's got a longer wheelbase, so there's even more room for that cosseted passenger in the back with your chauffeur in the front. They've also spent an enormous amount of research time and money on a new welding method. Now, they say that's made the car even quieter. That welding process has also meant that the build quality, of course, is even better, because there's literally hardly any gaps whatsoever between body panels, and those that are absolutely straight and true. Coming around to the back, let me just do my Mercedes test again. I shall just cover the badge with my hand. Looks remarkably like an E-Class, doesn't it? Which is a bit of a shame, because I think this is the least distinctive part of the car.
frankly, it's difficult to find things to criticise in a car that's had so much time, money and expertise lavished on it. Now, you may not like large cars, you may not like the design, but you cannot fault the engineering or build quality. Let's face it, most of us are never going to have to decide between an LS430 and a Mercedes S-Class. But if you do face that dilemma, decisions, which one should you buy? Well, there is a price difference, of course. If you decided to go for the Mercedes S-Class, it would cost you around £60,000. That would include all the extras that are standard on this. That would be about £6,000 more than the Lexus, so the Lexus is cheaper. In terms of performance, well, the Mercedes S-Class is a limo that handles like a sports car. But since I've done the work on the acceleration of the new Lexus, actually 0 to 60 is faster in this. The Lexus is a worthy competitor to the Mercedes S-Class. What it doesn't have on the front is the three-pointed star. It's up to you.
This is Braintree, Essex, population 35,000. Like other similar towns, Braintree has a virtually traffic-free shopping precinct. That is until one weekend in August, when the peace is shattered by the roar of 400 V8 engines.
First of all, we used to have a few people lining the streets the first year. Now, hopefully, they should be fairly deep because they come in especially, and not just locals coming from miles away.
For them to bring their cars through the town and give a treat really to local people, it's tremendous. We welcome it. The kids love it, the adults love it, but it only lasts once a year and it doesn't last very long, does it?
Hot rodding dates back to the 1950s, when every American kid dreamed of taking a cheap, mass-produced family car and customising it to transform its looks and, of course, performance. It was head-to-head racing at events like this that inspired movies such as American Graffiti and Rebel Without a Cause. These days, hot rods are commonly defined as cars built before 1949, with later cars, those built up to 1965, known as customs.
You start with a very old car that's usually got a tiny little engine, a bit of rust, old paint job, and not really drivable anymore. You then get a lot of money together and several years of spare time and turn it into the sort of vehicle you see behind me right now. Usually very overpowered, usually very overpainted. In Europe, this is the place where everybody comes to once a year. There's Minneapolis, Pleasanton, there's Bonneville. It sounds a bit wrong saying Braintree in Essex, but if you're in Europe, it's the only place to go.
In the next show, do the best things always come in small packages? We drive the new Topless 206, the first official smart cars, and a Mini.
And that's at the same time next Thursday. And don't forget, you can visit the Pulling Power website at carlton.com/pullingpower.
Pulling Power with ixm.co.uk, where cars go faster.